Good morning, everybody. It's John. It's 10:55 a.m. Wednesday, July 13th. Today's video is to go over more of this media-induced hysterical idiocracy and how the media is just so divisive, and what they've done today with this Robert Crimo crime when he went out and massacred people. They're trying to blame everybody on the right. I heard stupid stuff that this organization wanted to recruit Jared Kushner. Meanwhile, the group, it's just ridiculous, the crap that you get from the left side sometimes. Then they wonder why the right has so much prevalence over anything that's ever said at anybody. The group they're talking about is Soumen Sisu. Now, Soumen Sisu is out of Finland, yet somehow this Finnish-speaking group somehow influenced Robert Crimo, a 22-year-old from mid-America, to go on a roof and start shooting down people. Right there, that should tell you something. There's something wrong. Is there an absence of hardcore right-wing groups in the United States now that we have to import them? Or are we just desperately trying to associate what he did to right-wing organizations, which aren't really right-wing? Now, Sisu is a heritage foundation where they want to preserve the culture of Finland, their history, their past, and their language. Now, this is a runic symbol for their people, and it matches the color of their flag. This is the symbol that Robert Crimo uses. It doesn't represent a flag or a people or a country. This is a numeric alpha symbol that represents a religious belief. Totally opposite of what this symbol represents. This symbol here represents two things in Robert's mind. 4 and 7, which he thought had a magical connotation on his life. It brought fortune and goodwill to him. It was tattooed on his head and spray painted on his car. But also, it has a religious group connotation of the 4 P's, or 4 pi. Okay? Who is 4 pi, and how did they gain influence on Robert Crimo? That's what this video is about. So all of this other stuff they represented here, it's nonsense. It's garbage. Let's start off with the Process Church of the Final Judgment. You can see here, this symbol is very different from the one Robert uses because it's been changed over time. That was the second symbol. Robert's is the third. It makes it more clear that it's a 4 pi sign than this was. And now this is the latest version, new and improved version of it. The Process Church of the Final Judgment was a splinter group of Scientology. Now, the interesting thing about Scientology is that it actually was founded by somebody who was a follower of Aleister Crowley, a famous Satanist nicknamed the Beast. The Process Church of the Final Judgment came out of England, and when they landed on American shores, they were trying to recruit. They wanted to bring in more members of their church. This was the pamphlet they tried to use. The Game of the Gods. Lucifer, Jehovah, Satan, the Gray Forces. That's what they refer to as normal people. They embrace communism. They embrace fascism. They embrace anarchists and other extremist groups, including, for instance, the KKK. They believe that you should worship. They actually rused it. They try to get Christians to worship Satan. You have to crack the belief. You have to destroy the church that represents Christ to replace it with your own, to bring hell on earth. That's how you do it. So what they decided to do is when they first entered the United States, they just said, it's Satan's time. So let's just tell everybody you should worship Satan like you worship Christ. And there's no crime in it. Well, that didn't go too good because, again, they embraced communism and all of these other hateful indoctrinations. And Satanism in a Christian country isn't going to fly. So what did they do? In 1974, right, to 1979, they decided, hey, look, let's rebrand ourselves and come out as the foundation church of the millennium and take it to an explicitly Christian direction. These are the same people who are telling you to worship Satan. But since it didn't work out too good, they changed the church to one of these non-denominational Christian churches. And if you type in 4 Pi churches near me, that's what you're going to get. Google knows what it is, a 4 Pi church. Then after that, since that wasn't doing too well, they decided to go, well, let's reorganize the church into Best Friends Animal Society. Then vegans wonder why we call them a cult. Because your endeavor was founded by a cult, and it's full of occult beliefs. It calls people, it makes people worthless. The original church filtered down to all of these, and is still under control of the founding members. And those founding members still harbor those beliefs, but they know they had to water them down in order to entice you into their fold. Now, how did the Process Church of the Final Judgment, what have they ever been associated with? They've been associated with the Manson family, and also David Berkowitz. David Berkowitz says he was getting aid in his killings from the Process Church of the Final Judgment. And he gave names. And mysteriously, the 2 names he gave, well, those people died. Now, how did these people influence Robert Crimo? How are they able to do it? I'm going to explain that to you in the next step. Right here, what you see before you is Robert Crimo's mother's page and her beliefs. The first thing you're going to notice is that she's got the Eye of Horus on her website. The Eye of Horus is an occult belief that they possess magical properties to heal you from whatever ails you. It's another cult that practices some occult belief. Now, moving on, we make that a little bigger for you so you can see it. Come on. Well, we're just going to have to... Oh, wait a minute. Durr. Okay, now, where did she get her training from, and where did she get these ideals put into her head? Well, you'll see Shanghai University. Communist. I didn't look at this one. I didn't look at this one. I didn't look at this one, but what rang a bell to me is the Universal Life Church Ministries. Why would that be important to look at? Well, in about 1979, the Foundation Church of Millennia wasn't the only church that came out of the splinter group of Process Church of Final Judgment. Actually, what also came out of that was the Universal Life Church, following the lead of the Process Church and their new organization, where they adopted multi-denominations in their church. And we are all children of the same universe. Now, they adopted several different religions. They're non-denominational. You could be trained and become a minister and be ordained in any one of the religions that they spout. Now, what are some of those religions? Now, anybody with an IQ above room temperature knows what this symbol is right here where I have the mouse on. Everybody knows what it is. It's over here too. So there's no hiding the facts that their mother was associated with this Universal Life Church. And it did help her form her ideals. And it did tell her that she has mystical powers over people. Unfortunately, what happened is this influenced Robert to embrace the darker points of the religion, that in order to serve God and Satan, because they worship both, that he were to aid his gods by helping kick off the apocalypse. That's why Robert's always singing in his music saying there's no past and there's no future, there's only the now, which is the apocalypse, if anybody follows theology. So blaming a heritage group for influencing Robert Crimo to slaughter people in his own neighborhood on 4th of July is slanderous and pure bullshit. It's bullshit. Most of the members in this group don't even speak English because one of their president's precedents is to preserve their own language, the Finnish language. What the hell would they be doing talking to somebody in America that speaks English and has no clear ancestry from Finland? You boobs. And on that, I'm out of here.